Welcome to the Genetic Code. I'm your host, Jeanette Collins. This podcast is designed to take you one episode at a time on an intimate journey of your own personal transformation. Each podcast will have tools and techniques for you to practice in your daily life to create the very best version of you. Let's get started. Notice. Today I want to talk about noticing. When you're changing your thoughts and actions in life, you will have some subtle changes at first. So take time to notice what may be even a little different today than yesterday. There may be days when you aren't seeing or feeling much of a difference or nothing at all. I remind my clients that it's kind of like a bank account. So let's imagine your bank account is in the red, maybe $1,000. When you start making changes with your thoughts and behaviors, they start as small deposits. So if you dropped 1 cent into your bank to change the balance, would you really see and feel the change? No pun intended. Not really, but you started. And if every thought that you wanted to change was like a penny, and every time you noticed an old thought or behavior and stopped, took a breath, and asked, what can I do that would be more loving to me than this? Then consciously made a different choice. You are bringing your life out of the red, so to speak. You are consciously adding more loving thoughts and behaviors than you did yesterday. So like the bank account, you may have noticed only a few times in the day that your thoughts and behaviors weren't aligned with your higher design for yourself. And so that day, the deposit may be small, but it was a deposit. And as you get better with practice at noticing your thoughts and behaviors and changing them, then it's like more of you lights up and turns on inside, and you'll notice hundreds of times that day or week that you're practicing the old ways of doing your life and changing them. Then your deposit would be $10 in the account. And as you continue noticing and practicing, changing those thoughts and behaviors to a more elevated one, your account becomes less and less in the deficit. Just like your bank account, but only much better in my opinion, you begin feeling inspired to not give up. The process is working. It just needs your vigilance and loving dedication to change. Before you know it, you will be out of the red and starting to accumulate a little abundance of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, which will begin expressing outside experiences to occur to show you that you're changing. When you are changing your inner life and notice there are some patterns and behaviors that seem bigger than others, just take time to change things around a bit. Maybe you can't take a whole bite this time. You might need to break it down into smaller pieces that you can assimilate and take those steps. Be gentle and kind to yourself as you make your life changes. It's called work because it requires you to be willing to go all in for yourself. To be fair, when all the old patterns and behaviors were being formed that you're now changing, you did this same process, only you did it unconsciously. So the patterns and behaviors seemed just like you being you, right? They had become a part of your identity. Then you practiced them over and over, those old behaviors, until they seemed natural. Everything you practice after a while, when it feels natural to do the behavior, we stop noticing why are we choosing it, and we stop noticing if we should choose the behavior. We just allow the flow we created to happen. Then, when our results come to us, or the effects are present and we don't love what we see, we look outside of ourselves for someone or something to blame. Because we are so effortlessly creating our negative habits and behaviors, we start believing that things outside us caused our results. But in reality, you just stopped noticing what you wanted to think, to feel, or say, and allowed the old program to just kick in. Everything has its opposite. So using the same techniques as you did when you created your life, the life that you're changing, you're now flipping the coin to its opposite side. This side is consciously choosing to be aware, to pay attention, to set an intention, for a decision to be made, to change the way you're living your daily life. One side of the coin was unconscious creation. The other side is conscious creating. The side that's unconscious has its natural properties based on your use of it. So to be unconscious in life and just run the programs and behaviors, the results are excuses, blaming, shaming, complaining, judgments, criticisms, etc. Because the results of living a life unconscious leave you with a feeling of being a victim. When you feel helpless and like a victim, we use the tools of the victim. We blame and make excuses and complain, etc. But flip the coin to the conscious behavior, and we begin to create on purpose. We create accountability, self-love, compassion, non-judgmental, gratitude, a life of love lived on purpose. That doesn't mean you won't work to achieve that way of being. You will. But there are surprise moments all along this path of conscious creation, filled with unspeakable joy, beauty, love, and deep, deep gratitude. They begin to be very spontaneous results, too. Because as you practice getting better and better at your new behaviors, you're generating an energy field around you, and you're priming the engine, so to speak. And the energy you produce by your actions will begin to create experiences to match the emotions and behaviors you're now living by. So just like the boomerang, what you send out will come back to you. So notice the way you think, the thoughts you're choosing to invest your time and energy on. Do you want to send that out? Do you want that boomerang going out? It will come back, and it always returns to the sender. Notice how you default to blaming someone or something outside of you for your choosing to feel or act a certain way. Become so aware of all the ways you have been living so that you can change them on purpose, one thought at a time. When your account has been out of the red, or your way of living feels lighter, and you aren't so worried or down all the time, then you begin building excess. This excess is the fuel to get you thinking into possibilities and a brighter future for you. As your account begins to become excessively overfilled, and you're experiencing so much more love inside you, and peace inside you, and compassion inside you, you will naturally start taking your excess and giving it to others. You don't need that much anymore. And now you know how to make it expand and get better. You are conscious of the tools of creation, and you're using them daily. It's good for you and for everyone else. Now the angry person you encounter, whether they're completely aware of it or not, receives understanding from you in their encounter, or a kind word, or just not retaliating, but choosing more peace and silence. You offer this now, not to show the angry one how to be, but to show you that you and him are not so different. You have been the angry one who felt the world was out to get you, and both of you were seeking a kind, warm response to soften your experience. Because you began noticing that you wanted your life to be different, and you started practicing the tools and techniques to change them, you are a conscious, loving contributor on this planet, and everyone who encounters you is touched by your love. The love and patience and compassion and no judging you've been practicing with you, to you, now is spilling out all over others in the best way, and we become more of unity and less of separation. So let's recap. Noticing all of your thoughts, behaviors, and the ways you're choosing to be is diving just a little bit deeper into the unconscious programs and bringing consciousness to it. Now with your attention, you can notice your successes and those places that need more of your loving attention in order for them to shift. Like a bank account in the red, each time you choose a more loving behavior and consciously pay attention to not blaming anyone or anything for your results, you begin to reclaim your personal power and freedom to change your life. The red becomes breaking even and With continued work, it becomes the excess, always overflowing to share with the world. I invite you this week to really notice all the things that keep tripping you up, your way of thinking, your behaviors, etc. By noticing the subtle details and changing them to a greater way of being, you're bringing light to your inner world. Notice this week all you have succeeded on and those things that still get you and take your attention away from your new loving life that you are creating. Take a little time to notice all the ways that you're being loved and cared for. It may surprise you. Thank you for joining me on this podcast. Please share this with others and tune in next week for another chance to learn, grow, and become a part of the greatest journey on earth, the journey to transform yourself, to empower yourself, and to extend that love to the world. You are worth it.